PSVR2 is a hot topic right now. The PC adapter is due on August the 7th, and the Steam PSVR2 software is now available to be wishlisted on Steam. And there's been a price reduction in the UK, and I've been told it's also in some regions in the EU, bringing on the conversation of should newcomers invest in PSVR2? And the more you look around for a balanced answer, the more you find yourself a little unsure of what to believe, because right now the future of PSVR2 really is unknown. The hardcore PSVR2 investors, and by hardcore I mean they literally refuse to invest in any other VR system, they believe anything negative said about the system is borderline heresy. And the media for some reason seemingly are excited for PSVR2 to fail.
Y'all, PSVR2 is cooked! It is done!
And the rest of us like me who want all of VR to succeed, I try to focus on what we know right now. And what we know right now is the back catalogue on PSVR2 is really good and has some exceptionally high quality VR titles, which I am not going to get into today, because if you want to see my current best games on the system, I'll leave a link to my top 20 PSVR2 games in the video description, but I'll also place it in a card when you get to the end of the video. Because today, I want to focus on the future of PSVR2. We know Sony have 2 exclusive games in development, but we still don't know what they are, and there's at least 13 great games coming for the rest of 2024. And personally, I think these games are going to be fantastic on the system. None of these are exclusive, to be clear with you, but when you play a game on PSVR2, if the developers use these features, you'll get headset haptics, adaptive triggers, and eye tracking. So for me personally, I want to experience all these games on this headset just as much as I do with others. Starting this list today, we're going to go with Aces of Thunder, which is also now coming to Steam for PCVR users. And while we are still waiting a firm release date, it is said to be coming in Q4 of 2024. It will have a mix of single player and multiplayer, and after experiencing War Thunder, which has a free VR mode, things are looking good for Aces of Thunder. The game will launch with 15 maps and 3 key theatres from the Second World War, the Western, Eastern and Pacific fronts, and will have 20 faithfully recreated fighters for you to take to the skies in. Following that, we have Alien Rogue Incursion. Now, very little is still known about Alien Rogue Incursion, apart from it's being developed by Survios. It's been in development for over 2 years in Unreal Engine, and it will be a single player action horror game, and is coming to all VR platforms this holiday. We did, however, learn some extra info via an interview on IGN. The aliens will attack en masse, feature pretty good AI, and is sounding more like a roguelike style gameplay loop. There is one bit of worrying information which I picked up, and that is that the game is going to be designed to be enjoyed in short bursts, which for me, as someone who can play VR for absolutely hours, has me concerned, but I'm still very hopeful this will be an excellent game, and the Alien game VR deserves. Next up, we have Arcade Paradise, which was a fantastic flat screen game I enjoyed very much, which sees you take over a forgotten laundry shop given to you by your father, for you to hopefully prove to him you can be responsible and grow the business. Unknown to him, however, you find an old arcade in the back of the shop, and you choose to invest your hard-earned money in buying all the latest and best arcade machines for your customers to enjoy, which you can also play in VR. Most of the time is spent doing chores like loading and unloading piles of washing and then drying them for the customers, picking up trash, removing chewing gum, scrubbing toilets, and generally making the place look as good as it can. I have already reviewed Arcade Legend VR on MetaQuest 3, and I thought it was a fantastic port, and they made a great use of mixed reality, and I'm very much looking forward to checking out Arcade Paradise VR on the 8th of August. Aran Age is almost ready on PSVR2, and the developers are currently submitting to Sony for approval once the Steam beta testing is wrapped up. And they're going to be dropping a release date very soon. Now, I've spoken to the developer, and hopefully I can get involved with the Steam VR beta testing and maybe post some gameplay very soon. Aran Age is definitely one of the games I've been looking forward to for a very long time, since it was first ever announced. Now, Aran Age is a VR action game set in the Biochasm, a terraformed fantasy world created by the Grand Arborist. This is from the developer behind Shadow Legend, and it will have you engaging in full physics combat using Arcanite-infused swords and guns, and a free to explore densely filled environment under siege by the Hyperion's neural corruption. The developer confirmed the game will feature eye tracking with dynamic foveated rendering, meaning we can expect some great visuals on PSVR2. Now, some of you might have missed it, but I actually have played Behemoth now, and I'm pleased to say it didn't disappoint. But currently I've only played it on the PSVR2, and I've yet to see how it performs on MetaQuest 3 and especially on MetaQuest 2. Good thing is the physics and the interactions were all on point. The hook shot was brilliant, and the Behemoth fight was satisfying. We obviously still have more questions about game length and worlds and how many behemoths there are, because I think they've suggested there's going to be 4. But I personally want to know how these behemoths will play. Is it going to be like Shadow of the Colossus, where they're like a puzzle for you to overcome? Either way, I'll leave a link to my gameplay video for Behemoth in the video description. Compound is releasing in 3 days according to the PlayStation Store, but I've heard the developer is holding off the release so it can be available simultaneously in every region of the PlayStation Store, which sounds like it's still coming very soon. Compound is a randomized roguelike with stunning retro style graphics, great weapons, and new game modifications to change your gameplay every time you start a run. I played it years ago on PC and Quest, and it was one of my favourite VR FPS games, but I do have a massive soft spot for games that have this particular art style because I'm such a fan of retro gaming in general. Now, PlayStation aren't the best at helping devs get keys to give to content creators for reviews, but hopefully I'll have a review for you very soon. Now, Ghost of the Boar is a super popular online extraction FPS that you can go into alone or with a squad. The idea is to loot for the best gear and dominate the online players, or potentially work together with some randoms, but please be very careful as this game is known for betrayals. I fell victim to all sorts of fake setups, people pretending it's their first time in the game, saying they haven't got any guns, they don't know what to do, only to shoot me in the back of the head once I help them get some extra gear, or working together to get a stash, only to then get shot in the head again. The game also features some really great weapons, and the developers are constantly trying to improve and update the game. There's no solid release date yet, but last I heard it was supposed to be coming in Q3 of this year, but I do expect to have something on the channel around September, especially with Gamescom coming up very soon. Now, last week, Into the Radius trophies appeared on the PSVR store. I asked the devs for some info, but they literally ignored me, so we've got nothing confirmed yet. But this lined up nicely with me jumping into the brand new Into the Radius 2. And while the new game does look and play much better than the old one, the feeling that you get from like the atmosphere and the environment is very similar as the first game. It's a survival shooter where you must explore the Pechorsk zone, which is filled with anomalies and all sorts of bizarre happenings. You must complete missions and level up your character for better gear, because the emphasis is on realistic weapons, storage management, and player health. It's tough, but it's really addictive, and I'm very much looking forward to checking this out on PSVR2. Next up, we have I Am Cat, which is a very new VR game which went kind of viral, especially with younger audiences. You literally play a cat in a room, and it's kind of a physics simulator with lots of fun toys and games for you to play with. And your owner is an old woman, which seemingly gets abused by everyone who interacts with the game. But personally, when I played it, maybe I'm just too old for this kind of game, but I kind of found myself enjoying watching others play it over me playing it myself. Either way, hopefully for those of you who have kids or you're under the age of say 16, you might actually enjoy I Am Cat VR. Next up is Max Mustard, and it's a brilliant VR platformer already available on MetaQuest. And after seeing this side by side posted by the developer, I'm massively hyped to check this out all over again. Fans of Astrobot will definitely have that VR platforming itch scratched by this one. It makes great use of VR and shows once again how good third-person games can work incredibly well with the right team of VR developers behind it. There is currently no release date, but I suspect it's going to be sooner rather than later. This is easily one of the most anticipated VR first-person shooters for 2024, and we still have yet to see anything in terms of feedback or hands-on impressions, but what we do know is it's a new story in the Metro series, which I'm really pleased about because I've completed all the others, and I've always wanted a proper VR experience set in this world. The game is set in the year 2028, and the survivors of the, I guess, world nuclear war are now living in the subways underneath Moscow. You play a character called Saber, who has to brave the darkness of the metro, avoid deadly radiation and the masses of mutant threats in search for your wife and the medication to save her. If this game is done well, it could be a massive hit for the VR community as a whole. Now, Wanderer is easily one of my best puzzle adventure games I've ever played on PCVR and PSVR a couple of years ago, and it's now being remastered for PSVR2, PCVR and Quest. We now also have a release date of September 12th after it was delayed, and the developers have been dropping lots of side-by-side comparisons and just showing the amount of work they are putting into this remaster, and it really does look like it could be a very different game this time round. So if you haven't played the original Wanderer, you're definitely going to be in for a treat. Pixar Games, the developers behind Zombieland, are developing Zombie Army VR for Rebellion, who are famous for the Sniper Elite franchise, and just in case you missed the original announcement, it's coming to all platforms, features player progression, authentic World War II weapons, 2-player co-op, which I am personally a little disappointed to hear because I wanted 4-player, similar to the flat screen, and hopefully the game will have cross-platform support, but I can't find that information currently. Either way, I'm very much looking forward to getting my hands on this one. So there you have it. Thank you for watching. As you can tell, there's quite a lot coming to PSVR2, and there's probably tons of games and updates we still don't know about. Literally, Gran Turismo just got a massive physics update with a brand new map, and just to be clear, my PSVR2 isn't going anywhere until one day I just simply don't feel like getting rid of it, and my actual old PSVR2 is still there, so I probably still wouldn't even get rid of it then because I'm just a massive fan of the system. So let me know your thoughts about the video down in the comment section. Thank you for any likes and anyone who subscribes to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.